Hello dear students, so now today we would move ahead in this first chapter of class 9 science, that is matter in our surrounding. So today we are to discuss the states of matter here. Okay, so means suppose if you see and if you observe the object around yourself, so you would find that like you have marker, you have this whiteboard, and you can see some trees, stone, etc. And you can see the water also there, you can see the gas also there. Okay, so these things are available around you. Okay, so if you see if you see the states of matter, so the matter is available or exist in these three states: solid, some are solid, some are liquid, and some are gases. Okay, so these are the three states of matter. These are the three states of matter. What are the three states of matter? First one is solid, then you have the next state, that is liquid, then you have the gas. So matter exists in these three states, isn't it? Yes, solid, liquid, and gas. So these are the three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. So first, here we are going to discuss about the solids. What are the solids? Like if I say this is the marker, this is a solid. How? It has some property. What is the property? It has the definite shape. It is shape. It is not going to change its shape ever. Like today it is small, tomorrow it would be bigger. No, it would remain. It would maintain its shape. Okay, so there you have the definite shape of a solid. So solids are having the definite shape, and they have the distinct boundaries also. You cannot alter the boundaries of a solid. Then they have the fixed volume also. You cannot change its volume. Okay, because the particles are retaining the same distance. Suppose if you see, the particles are very near to each other in a solid. In a solid, the particles are very near to each other. Okay, so you cannot change the volume of the solid. Are you getting it? You cannot compress it, you cannot expand it. Why? Because the particles are not except expandable. Okay, you cannot change the distance between these particles. And one more thing, you cannot compress it also. You cannot change the distance between the particles. So that is why I would say yes, solids are having the definite volume. They have the definite volume. Okay, and one more thing, solids have a tendency to maintain their shape. Let's take an example, like we have the rubber band. You can expand the rubber band. As I have said, solid have a definite shape, but if you are expanding a rubber band, it is not going to have a definite shape. So whether this rubber band is a solid or not, what would you call it? Yes, it is again a solid. Why? Because solids have a tendency to maintain their shape. Because if you expand the rubber band and you leave it, it would retain its shape which was there in the earlier. Okay, so it has the tendency to retain its shape again. Okay, so that is why this is also solid. Take a sponge that you can compress. Okay, so you can compress the sponge also, means you are again changing the shape of the sponge. So is it a solid then? Yes, it is again a solid. Why? Because sponge, there are some holes there in the sponge. So you have a sponge there, so you have holes there. So in these holes the air is trapped. Okay, when you just compress it, the air that is trapped inside these holes comes out, and you compress the sponge and you are changing the shape. But if you leave it, again it would remain, it would retain its shape, isn't it? Yes. So means sponge is also solid, because if you just compress it and you leave it, it would retain its original shape then. Okay, so sponge is also a solid there. Okay, and one more thing, let me tell you, solid, suppose this is the solid, this is the solid. Okay, suppose if I just want to expand it, I cannot expand it, I cannot expand it. If I'm applying too much force on it. Okay, let's say this is the shape of the solid, and I want to change its shape. I want to bend it, I want to change its shape. Is it possible to change its shape? No. But if I am applying too much force here, so rather changing its shape, it would break, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so if you are applying, so solids may break under force. Okay, but it is difficult to change their shape. It is difficult to change the shape of a solid. Okay, are you getting it? if you are applying too much force, so it would break into the pieces, isn't it? Yes. So these are the properties of the solids. Okay, now let me write it here. So these are the properties of the solids. First one is solid have definite shape, distinct boundaries and fixed volume. This makes them negligible. This makes them that they have negligible compressibility. That you should understand. Solids have negligible compressibility, means you cannot compress them. Okay, if you are compressing them and you leave it, it would retain its shape again, like in the case of the sponge. Okay, some solids are compressible also, but if you are just leaving them, again they would retain their shape, original shape. Okay, the second property of the solids is solids have a tendency to maintain their shape when subjected to outside force. When you are applying some outside force to a solid, it would retain its shape, like like this marker. Okay, so if I'm applying outside force here, I want to change its shape, so I cannot, isn't it? Yes. So it will try to remain its in its original shape. But in certain cases, if you, like in the case of rubber band or sponge, you are just changing the shape also, but if you are leaving them, then again they are retaining their original shape. Okay, and the third property is solids may break under force, but it is difficult to change their shape. If you are applying too much force to change the shape of a solid, so they would break into the pieces. Getting it or not? So these are the properties of the solids that you have to write in your notebook. Okay, that is all for today. Now in the next lecture, we will be discussing the other states, that is liquid and the gases. Okay, till then stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you. Have a good day.